Minister MAKEI, Commissioner Johansson, ladies and gentlemen, I'm most honored to be here today with you in a ceremony to mark the signing between the European Union and Belarus of the visa facilitation agreement and the agreement on the readmission of persons residing without authorization. These agreements have been 10 years in the making. They were first envisaged at the 2009 Eastern Partnership Summit. Facilitating the issuing of visas to citizens of the European Union and Belarus on the basis of reciprocity was seen by the European Union as a way to promote mobility, but also to facilitate people-to-people contacts, which in turn foster the development of economic, humanitarian, cultural, scientific, and other ties. The negotiations of the visa facilitation agreement with the Republic of Belarus were formally opened in Brussels in June 2014. Visa statistics give evidence of the strong ties between Belarus and the European Union. In 2018, the number of Schengen visa applications in Belarus reached almost 700,000. Around 83% of the visa issued are multiple entry visas. Belarus is a country with one of the highest number of Schengen visas delivered per capita in the world and has one of the lowest visa refusal rates. Against this background, the conclusion of a visa facilitation agreement can therefore represent a solid improvement of Belarus citizens' mobility towards the European Union. The visa fee for processing applications will be set at 35 euros, with some categories benefiting from a full waiver of the visa fee. The documents to be presented will be simplified for quite many categories of applicants, and simplified criteria for issuing multiple entry visas will be applicable. In addition, our diplomats and the EU laissez-passer holders will be able to travel visa-free. This agreement goes hand in hand with the fundamental principles governing the cooperation between the parties, as well as the obligations and responsibilities, including the respect of human rights and democratic principles. This is an important element for the European Union, and at the same time is true for the readmission agreement. There is another element that is important for the European Union. We will not be able to conclude the visa facilitation agreement unless the Commission makes a positive assessment of the security and integrity of Belarus' system of issuance of biometric diplomatic passports. Belarus has recently shared a specimen of the new biometric passports, and the European Union is assessing it, and we hope for a rapid conclusion of this process. Minister MAKEI, Commissioner Johansson, the visa facilitation agreement will mark a milestone in the relations between our people. The ties between our societies are already strong. Through the Erasmus Plus program, to joint exchanges, training and volunteering projects, and short-term professional exchanges in the European Union. Belarus citizens have already established contacts with peers in EU member states. The visa facilitation agreement will make Europe even closer to Belarus citizens, and we hope that our ties, be it economic, cultural, and scientific, will be further strengthened and enhanced. According to the common approach for the development of EU policy on visa facilitation, a visa facilitation agreement should not be concluded without a readmission agreement being in place. That is why on 30 January 2014 negotiations were formally opened with the Republic of Belarus on the agreement concerning the readmission of persons residing without authorization. We have already been cooperating well in the field of readmission. The signature of this agreement will allow us to continue our good cooperation on readmission issues and to ensure that we have rapid and effective procedures for the identification and safe and orderly return of persons who have no right or no longer have a right to enter or stay on territory of Belarus or one of the EU member states. This agreement will also help to facilitate the transit of such persons in a spirit of cooperation. Over the past 3 years, there has been remarkable progress in EU-Belarus relations, notably through the Eastern Partnership. Today's signature of the two agreements is a step further. We look forward to the conclusion of the ratification process and the entry into force of the agreements as soon as possible once all conditions are met. Now, without further delay, I would like to give the floor first to Commissioner Johansson and then to Minister MAKEI. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Davor. We are here today to celebrate an important achievement both for the EU and for Belarus. Negotiations of the visa facilitation and readmission agreements between Belarus and the EU has been going on for almost 6 years. The text we are signing today are the culmination of all the efforts made by our negotiators to improve the mobility of our citizens in a well-managed and secure environment. Ultimately, we are building closer links and bridges in people-to-people contacts, enriching our societies and our cultures further, together with the Eastern Partnership countries. As already mentioned by Minister BOŽINOVIĆ, once the agreements enter into force, it will bring significant improvements. The visa fee will be reduced to €35. The deadline for consultates to take a decision on a visa application will be shortened. A number of categories of applicants will be entitled to receive multiple entry visas with increasingly longer validity, while having to submit less supporting documents to prove their purpose or travel. As for readmission, return statistics shows that there is already very good cooperation between Belarus and the EU member states. I am happy about this. The agreement of today puts the work of the competent authorities in charge of readmission in a precise framework to ensure orderly and safe return of irregular migrants. At Belarus' request, a 2-year transitional period was agreed for the implementation of the provisions concerning the readmission of third country nationals and stateless persons. This will provide Belarus more time to get ready for the full implementation of the readmission agreement with the support of the EU. Our cooperation will be further enhanced by the regular meetings of the joint readmission and visa facilitation committees set up by both agreements. Both agreements will enter into force simultaneously once both Belarus and the EU will have completed our respective internal procedures for ratification. As you know, this means first receiving the consent of the European Parliament and the ratification of the Belarus National Assembly. With the entry into force, we'll be able to start benefiting from the facilitation provided for by the visa facilitation agreement. I am glad to be here today to celebrate this historical day for our bilateral relationships. And I wish to thank Belarus for their efforts and willingness to reach agreement. I look forward to continue our cooperation and strengthen the ties between the European Union and Belarus citizens.
Dear Madam Commissioner, dear Mr. Deputy Prime Minister, in a minute we will finally put our signatures under the Belarus-EU visa facilitation and readmission agreements. And this event will mark an end of almost, as it was mentioned here, 6 years of intense negotiations. It is a long-anticipated landmark accomplishment in Belarus-EU dialogue and cooperation. In fact, Belarus was ready to sign these agreements since September last year following a relevant decision of the President of Belarus. This was, I must say, not an easy decision, given the additional challenges posed by readmission commitments. At the same time, the President expressed his approval already at that point due to the benefits of visa facilitation for the mobility of Belarusian citizens. I am sure that signing of these agreements will contribute to the development of the civil society of Belarus, and this is important for both parts. Belarus, as it was mentioned here, is a world leader in terms of Schengen visas per capita. In that light, we wanted to make every possible step to conclude the agreements as early as possible in 2019 to allow their entry into force before the new EU visa code. Unfortunately, we were not able to make use of this opportunity due to different reasons. As a result, on 2nd February 2020, the price of Schengen visas for Belarusian citizens will rise to €80. It is not something that we were working for, and Belarus citizens should not be the ones to pay for this delay. While signing the agreements, we kindly call on the European Union and its member states to examine every option available in the EU acquis to temporarily freeze the price of Schengen visas for Belarusians to €60. At the same time, we hope for concerted and resilient efforts both in Belarus and in the European Union to ensure a prompt parliamentary approval of the agreements so that they can enter into force as soon as possible. And I am happy that my colleagues support this proposal. Without further ado, I am delighted to join my honourable colleagues in sealing these important treaties and paving the way for their application. Thank you very much.
Thank you.